welcome back to the Lewis Friends channel. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the video yesterday. Yesterday, if you didn't check it out, we did a fall book recommendation, and now we're going to be doing our fall book TBR list. Which, if you don't know, TBR means to be read, or books that we're going to be reading this fall season. So if you want to see all the books on our fall TBR, then keep on watching. These are books that we are going to be reading this fall season to give you some inspiration and maybe pick some of these books up if you would like to. This one I'm really excited to read is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, and this seems super good. I've seen a lot of the girlies on TikTok and YouTube raving about this book. There's kind of a fine line between like when everyone's talking about something, like is it just trending or is there a reason everyone's talking about it, because it's super good, and I think it's the latter one. So I'm super excited to read this. The top says, "Welcome to the family," Nina Winchester says as I shake her elegant manicured hand. I smile politely, gazing around the marble hallway. Working here is my last chance to start fresh. I can pretend to be whoever I like, but I'll soon learn that the Winchester secrets are far more dangerous than my own. So now here's the book summary. Every day I clean the Winchester's beautiful house top to bottom. I pick up their daughter from school and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up. Seems like she has some beef with Nina. How she tells strange lies about her own daughter. How her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. As I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once just to see what it's like, but she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too late. But I reassure myself, the Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of. This is definitely giving Lifetime movie. I don't know, just giving. When they read the part about her trying on the lady's clothes, that was definitely, I've seen this on Lifetime. This is definitely giving spooky, eerie. She's locking her in the basement. It's pretty creepy. This will be perfect for fall, and it's definitely high on my list because just reading the back, and like I'm a huge fan of Lifetime, it just seems like a lot of complex dynamics here, so I feel like it'll be perfect, easy read. Definitely think I will be picking this up pretty soon because I am reading a book currently, which I'll get into the one I'm reading now, but this one may be the next one I pick up. The next book we are going to be reading this fall season is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. These romantic books with these covers are gonna get me every single time, and the fact that this is like a spooky season one, it's gonna get me every single time. She does have another one I was looking for, but I couldn't find it, The X-Hex, until we got to Barnes & Noble's, and I had already gotten this from the Strand bookstore, which if you have not seen our fall bookstore vlog, that was the episode before this, so go check that out so you know like what I'm even talking about. Gwen Jones is perfectly happy with her life in Graves Glen. She, her mom, and her cousin have formed a new and powerful coven. She's running a successful witchcraft shop, something wicked, and she starts mentoring some of the younger witches in town. As Halloween approaches, there's only one problem: Linwell Wells Penhallow. Wells has come to Graves Glen to reestablish his family connection to the town they founded and to make a new life for himself after years of being the dutiful son in Wales. When he opens up a shop of his own, Penhallow's just across the street from something wicked, he quickly learns he's got more than he bargained for in going up against Gwen. When their professional competition leads to a very personal and very hot kiss, both Wells and Gwen are determined to stay away from each other, convinced the kiss was just a magical fluke. But when a mysterious new coven of witches comes to town and Gwen's powers begin fading, she and Wells must work together to figure out just what these new witches want and how to restore Gwen's magic before it is too late. I'm really excited to check this book out and to try to read it. These romantic comedies, like I said, are gonna get me every time. I'm wondering like if it's gonna be like a slow burn. It seems like it's enemies to lovers. Like I really am just excited to read this one, and it's cute and Halloween themed. The next one is Misery by Stephen King, and I've never read a Stephen King novel, and I know he has a pretty good reputation with creating good stories, so I'm really interested in reading this. We saw a review on YouTube about this, so this is what made me like, I need to pick this up right now. This is about best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon has finally met his biggest fan. Her name is Annie Wilkes, and she is dismayed to discover Paul's plans to kill off Misery Chastain, the heroine of his beloved series. Anne is more than a rabid reader. She is Paul's nurse, tending his shattered body after an automobile accident. She is also his captor, imprisoning him in her isolated home where no one knows he is. Annie wants Paul to write his greatest work just for her. She has a lot of ways to spur on him. One in a needle, another in an axe. And then there's the blowtorch. The book, kind of how the girl described it on YouTube, seemed like a little bit clearer than this. So I'm going to kind of explain how she did. So she said that this famous author got into like an automobile accident, and I guess this rabid fan is also a nurse, and she found him and she took him back to her house, and she's like trying to nurse him back to health, but he realized that he is not going to be able to leave because she's trying to keep him captive for him to write her this book, because she's like really upset that he's trying to kill off one of the characters in the book, as I just read. This book is just seems spine tingling and also giving psychological thriller, like just keeping somebody captive in the house. This just seems very interesting. I know it has like snow on the front, but like it's kind of giving to me late November, like transition into December feels. Any psychological thriller is just going to do it every time, so I'm super excited to read this. The next TBR fall book we have is called The Monster of Eldenhaven. I've never heard of this book before, but let me tell you, this was like a really cute way that we found this book. When we went to the Strand bookstore yesterday, they had what they called a blind date with the book, and this was like the Halloween edition. They had books that weren't like spooky or whatever, so they basically had the book covered up and somebody drew like a cover of it and then basically like wrote a little description on what it was, so you had no idea what book you were grabbing. So mine, it said like a monster's love story or something like that, and I was like, ooh, like that sounds perfect for spooky season, so let me grab that. This is the book that I picked up, and it is by Jennifer Giesbrecht. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Hopefully I didn't butcher that, but I'm going to go ahead and read what the book is about. The city of Eldenhaven sulks on the edge of the ocean, racked by plague, abandoned by the south, stripped of industry and left to die. But not everything dies so easily. A thing without a name stalks the city, a thing shaped like a man, with a dark heart and long pale fingers yearning to wrap around throats. A monster who cannot die. His frail master sends him out on errands, twisting him with magic, crafting a plan too cruel to name, while the monster's heart grows fonder and colder and more cunning. The sorcerer's work is subtle, changing minds and curdling hearts with barely a trace left behind, but there are signs to read for magic hunters coming up from the capital in the south. These monsters of Eldenhaven will have their revenge on everyone who wronged the city, even if they have to burn the world to do it. This just seems really interesting. We have the monster element. I'm wondering where the love story part is going to play into it, but this seems like a really good read. I did start reading it yesterday. It's a very short book. It only has 159 pages, so I'm pretty sure that I can breeze through this book. And if you see, the words are like pretty big and pretty spread out, so I am really interested in reading this. This kind of for some reason reminds me of The Stranger that I read like in high school, from what I remember of it. I don't know why, maybe because The Stranger is also like a tiny book and like the words were like kind of big on the page. I'm excited to read this and get through this, and I'll let you guys know my opinions on it when I finish reading it. This is another one of the Twisted Tales series that we have by Liz Braswell, and it's called A Whole New World. This one is about Aladdin. What if Aladdin had never found the lamp? Here is the back. Aladdin is a street rat. Like most, he's just trying to survive another day in impoverished Agrabah. Jasmine is the princess, one who's about to enter into an arranged marriage. All she wants to do is escape her fate, to see what lies beyond the palace walls. But everything changes when the Sultan's trusted advisor, Jafar, suddenly rises to power. With the help of an ancient lamp, Jafar attempts to break the laws of magic and gain control over love and death. Soon Aladdin and the deposed princess Jasmine must reunite the people of Agrabah in a rebellion to stop the power-mad ruler threatening to tear the kingdom apart. This isn't the story you already know. This is a story about power, about revolutionaries, about love, about one moment changing everything. This just definitely seems interesting. Just all of the Twisted Tales seem like the alternative ending, or like how they kind of solve like a new problem that Liz Braswell presents to them, different from the original story. And I feel like it's just giving fall to me because it's kind of like a spooky series. I mean, it is Twisted Tales, so kind of like they're a little bit spooky. I will be reading this sometime in fall, hopefully in October, but I don't know, because with the other books, I kind of want to get to them a little bit first before I get to this one. The next book we're going to be reading this fall season is called The Chain by Adrian McKenty. This one literally seems insane. Let me just read the back for you. You just dropped off your child at the bus stop. A panicked stranger calls your phone. Your child has been kidnapped. The stranger then explains that their child has also been kidnapped by a completely different stranger. The only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child. You are now a part of the chain. Like, what if that was like a real life thing? Like, this is probably definitely, maybe not quite dystopia. I will have to read it more. It says it's a thriller, but like, that's crazy. Like, what if we lived in a world where you had to kidnap children, like, to get your child back? Like, that's literally just insane. The back was a little bit confusing to me, so I'm gonna just clarify it just in case it was also confusing to somebody else. The stranger that called the main character in the book, I'm assuming she's the main character, had kidnapped her child, so she could have gotten her child back. So that's why she got a call from the stranger that called, which is literally insane. Like, imagine someone saying like, hey, I kidnapped your child so I can get mine back, but like, good luck to you, like, you have to kidnap a child now. So I'm really excited to read this. This is also like not really too thick of a book. It's like probably around 400 pages. I'm excited to read this. It's just definitely curling up with the blanket, with the hot drink, getting into the mystery and the craziness that is the chain. I'm just so excited to read this one. This is the book that I am currently reading right now, so checking off this one from my fall TBR when I finish it. This is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda, and as I said, I started it and it was pretty interesting. It kind of reads like All Good People here, just like the plot and everything. This is what the inside cover reads. We had no warning that she'd come back. Hollow Edge used to be a quiet place, a private and idyllic neighborhood where neighbors dropped in on neighbors, celebrating graduations and holidays together and looked out for one another. But then came the murders of Brandon and Fiona Truett. A year and a half later, the town is simmering. The residents are trapped, unable to sell their homes, confronted daily by the empty Truett house, and suffocated by their trial testimonies that implicated one of their own, Ruby Fletcher. And now Ruby's back. With her conviction overturned, Ruby waltzed right to Hollow's Edge, into the home she once shared with her friend Harper Nash. Harper, 5 years older, has always treated Ruby like a wayward younger sister, but now Harper's terrified. What possible good could come from Ruby's return to the scene of a crime, and how can she possibly turn her away when she knows Ruby has nowhere to go? Within days, suspicion spreads like a virus across the town. It's increasingly clear that not everyone told the truth about the night of the Truett murders, and when Harper begins receiving threatening notes, she realizes she has to uncover the truth before someone else becomes the killer's next victim. The reason I picked this up is because I work in a hair salon, and I saw one of the clients was reading her other book, The Last House Guest, and I saw The Last House Guest and this one in the bookstore, and the synopsis of this one seemed a little bit more interesting to me than the other one, so I'm going to try this one first. So far, it reads pretty well. There are not too many words on each page. The words are kind of big and spread out, so I feel like this will be an easy read for me to get through. The last book that we're going to be reading this fall is called Assistant to the Villain by Anna Nicole Mahir. I hope I said that right. I think that was right. I've been seeing a lot of reviews on this on YouTube, so I was so excited when I finally came across this, and I was like, I'm grabbing this one. I'm gonna read this Assistant to the Villain book. Let me read the back to you. Assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duties. Supporting stop for random mayhem and terror and other dark things in general. Discretion a must. Excellent benefits. With ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Reneen Dawn's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a teeny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspending from the ceilings and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just a literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now, Evie must not only resist drooling over her boss, but also figure out exactly who is sabotaging her work and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. This book just seems really interesting. It's giving very much like spooky a little bit because there's a villain doing bad stuff. We have severed heads and eyeballs. I've heard like that this book is a really slow burn, the romance of the book. I'm really excited to read this and get my own opinion on it and see. I've heard mixed reviews about this, so I can't wait to read it and decide for myself. That is going to conclude our fall TBR list. Comment down below if any of these books are on your fall TBR list or if you're also interested in reading them as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss a video. We'll see you tomorrow with a brand new episode of Vlogtober. Bye!